Srivasade Gaura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 10, Text 13. Does anyone remember where we are at?
The 13th one. We have to begin with this one. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Thank you. What are we reading? What section?
Okay, the Bharat is instructing Rahūgaṇa Mahārāja because the palanquin was not in a proper position and it was moving. So then Rahūgaṇa, uh, the king Rahūgaṇa, said some few insulting words to him and said that, what do you think you are? And you have a good body and everything. So, but then Jaḍa Bharat instructed him about the actual thing, that you are the soul and you are not the body, and how does it matter. So he's instructing Raja Rahūgaṇa. Jaḍa Bharat is instructing.
Did anyone contemplate or like think about it? Like, how do we act, when people tell us something about us, criticize us, and how do we react, and what do we say, and how is Jaḍa Bharat reacting and what he's saying?
We might feel very bad and we wouldn't
Isn't it?
accept it.
We would get upset, I would say.
Upset, right? Yeah, upset, feel bad.
Right.
We might complain to someone who will listen to us. Oh, she or he said that to me. How mean.
Yes.
We might even, sometimes we might even say bad things to the person on the face at that moment only. That, what do you know you are saying?
Yes, sometimes we may do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Who do you think you are?
You are.
Something to think about, no? That
Yeah.
how Jaḍa Bharat is reacting. No? Isn't it?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm not the body. I'm the soul. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. How do we say this now? Anyone, please?
Mata jada vataswa samstham.
Mata jaravat swasamstham.
Mata jada vataswa samstham.
Gatasya me virachikit sitena.
Gatasya me virachikitena.
Artha kiyan bhava tashikshitena.
Artha kriyan bhava
Abda pramatasya cha tapeshaha.
Stabda pramattasya pesha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear king, you have said, you rascal, you dull, crazy fellow, I'm going to chastise you, and then you will come to your senses. In this regard, let me say that although I live like a dull, deaf, and dumb man, I'm actually a self-realized person. What will you gain by punishing me? If your calculation is true and I am a madman, then your punishment will be like beating a dead horse. There will be no effect. When a madman is punished, he's not cured of his madness. So Jaḍa Bharat is giving him very logically he's telling him like what you are saying, Everyone in this material world is working like a madman under certain impressions, falsely acquired in the material condition. So why are we being called mad? Isn't it insulting? Why is the scriptures calling us we are mad?
Because we think
Because
we
we
are the body.
identify with the body.
And
We
then,
are in connection with the body.
yes, and then,
And then we are in connection with the body, and then we don't like worship the Lord, and then we are just in the aham, the false ego, because we are in the false ego.
yes. So because we are thinking of the body, we are in the false ego. So all the things that we are talking, we are doing is everything for the body. So we've forgotten we are the soul, right? We have forgotten who we are actually. So our speech, our actions, our thoughts, it's completely madness because that's not who we are. That's why the scriptures are calling that we are working like madmen. For example, a thief who knows that stealing is not good and who knows that it is followed with punishment by a king or by God, who has seen that thieves are arrested and punished by the police, nonetheless steals again and again. He's obsessed with the idea that by stealing he will be happy. This is a sign of madness. So the thief, he knows stealing is not good, yet he steals. We are saying, yes, we are not the body. Yet we keep on acting as if we are the body. We keep thinking we are the body. We keep speaking as if we are the body, isn't it? So this is a sign of madness. Despite repeated punishment, the thief cannot give up his stealing habit. Therefore, the punishment is useless. Shishuka Vachan.
Shri Shukra Uvacha.
Etavad anuvad paribhashaya pratyutirya munivara upashamashila.
Etavad anuvad paribhashaya pratyurdirya munivara upashamshilah.
Uparantanatmya nimitta upabhogena karma rabdham vyapanayan.
Uprata anatmaya nimitta upabhogin karma arabdha vayapanaya.
Rajayanam api tatho vaha.
Rajayanam api tatho uvaha.
Sukadeva Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, when King Rahūgaṇa chastised the exalted devotee Jaḍa with harsh words, that peaceful saintly person tolerated it all and replied properly. Nescience is due to the bodily conception, and Jaḍa was not affected by this false conception. Out of his natural humility, he never considered himself a great devotee, and he agreed to suffer the results of his past karma. Like an ordinary man, he thought that by carrying the palanquin, he was destroying the reactions of his past misdeeds. Thinking in this way, he began to carry the palanquin as before. An exalted devotee of the Lord never thinks that he is a paramhams or a liberated person. So this is the real quality of one who is really qualified, really exalted, really very advanced spiritually. He thinks himself very low. Like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says that he feels like a worm in a stool. It's not just words that he's saying, but he's actually feeling that. He has given us Caitaniya Caritamita, but his humility is such because he's so exalted. So he's actually feeling this humility. So when a person is actually liberated, he has this natural humility within him. He always remains a humble servant of the Lord, because that's the constitutional position of every soul. Jivera Swarubhai Krishna Nityadas. In all reverse conditions, he agrees to suffer the results of his past life. He never accuses the Lord of putting him into a distressed condition. These are the signs of an exalted devotee. Tattenu kampam sum samikshyamana. That the devotee, he always without any grudges, without any complaints. He suffers whatever is coming his way because he takes it, okay, my bad karma is being cut. I would have suffered more, but Krishna is kind to me. He's giving me a token punishment. And when there is happiness, he says, oh, I don't deserve this happiness, but Krishna wants to encourage me. So when suffering reverse conditions, the devotee always considers that the reverse conditions are the Lord's concessions. He is never angry with his master. He is always satisfied with the position his master offers. In any case, he continues performing his duty in devotional service. Such a person is guaranteed promotion back home, back to Godhead, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8. Tatte nukampam susamakshimano bunjana evatmakritam vipakam radvag vapurbir vidadan namaste jiveta yumukti pade sadaya bhak. My dear Lord, one who constantly waits for your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, and who goes on suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So Lord Brahma is saying this to Lord Krishna in the Brahma Vimohan Leela when he realizes, oh my God, what have I done? And he's offering praise to Krishna. This is one of the prayers he's saying in Krishna's glory. About how the devotee looks at suffering. Sachapi Pandaveya Sindhu Sovira Patistatva Jigyasayam Samyak.
Sacha api pandeya sindhu sovi patitatva jigyasaya samaya
Samyak.
Shraddhayadi Kritadhikaras Tadhridaya Granthi Mochanam Dvija.
Shraddhaya adhikrit adhikara tadhridaya granthi mochanam dvija.
Vacha Ashrutya Bahu Yoga Grantha Samatam Tvaraya Varuhaya.
Vachah ashrutay bahu yoga grantha sammatam tavraya
Shirasya Padamulam Upashrita Kshamapayan Vikatan Ripadeva Smaya Uvacha.
Shirisha padamulam upsrit shamapayan vikatnripadeva uvacha.
Sukadev Goswami continued, O best of the Pandu dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, the king of the Sindhu and Sauvira states, Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa, had great faith in discussions of the absolute truth. Being thus qualified, he heard from Jaḍa that philosophical presentation which is approved by all scriptures on the mystic yoga process and which slackens the knot in the heart. His material conception of himself as a king was thus destroyed. He immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat on the ground with his head at the lotus feet of Jaḍa in such a way that he might be excused for his insulting words against the great Brahmana. He then prayed as follows. So we are saying that this Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa is immediately realizing his mistake and he's asking for forgiveness. He had this great eagerness to hear about the absolute truth. And so now he's hearing this knowledge. So he's understanding, oh my God, looks like a great personality. What have I done? In Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Lord Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarasho viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession. And the saintly kings understood in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So does anyone remember? Krishna is saying this to Arjuna in 4th chapter. So he's saying, what was the context in which he's saying that this science was received through the chain of disciplic succession? Does anyone remember who he said it to? Then he said, then that one gave it to
Yeah,
someone.
this was in the context of the sun god Vivasvan, because he said that I
Yeah,
gave this knowledge to Vivasvan also, because the Arjun said that how come um, you remember and I don't remember, and how come, like, if this was given, then how come we don't know? So then he said that this is coming in the disciplic succession, and I gave it to
yeah,
Vivasvan, the sun god, and
yes, that's
then it
right.
got lost, and I'm giving you
And
again.
so Vivaswan gave it to who?
To
His
Ikshvaku.
own son, Ikshvaku.
Vivaswan
His
gave it
own
to
son.
Manu.
Oh,
Vivaswan gave it
And,
to Manu.
and
oh, I
how
don't
about his
And
remember.
then
own
Manu,
son? Manu gave
yeah,
it to
then,
Ikshvaku. Okay, okay,
Okay.
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Okay,
That's how it came in the human society.
okay.
So
Oh,
in the disciplic succession, hearing knowledge, hearing transcendental spiritual knowledge in disciplic succession. So through the disciplic succession, the royal order was on the same platform as great saintly persons, Raja Rishis. Formerly, they could understand the philosophy of life and knew how to train the citizens to come to the same standard. In other words, they knew how to deliver the citizens from the entanglement of birth and death. So the kings, the Raja Rishis, were so qualified, devotees themselves, making sure others are also advancing in spiritual knowledge. When Maharaj Dashrath ruled Ayodhya, the great sage Vishwamitra once came to him to take away Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman to the forest to kill a demon. When the saintly person Vishwamitra came to the court of Maharaj Dashrath, the king, in order to receive the saintly person, asked him, Aihishtam yattat punarjanma jayaya. He asked the sage whether everything was going on well in his endeavor to conquer the repetition of birth and death. Ah, wow. So when the saintly person Vishwamitra came to the court of Maharaj Dashrath, the king, in order to receive the saintly person, asked him. He asked the sage. So Maharaj Dashrath is asking Vishwamitra that, how's your progress in this journey back home, back to Godhead, endeavor to conquer repetition of birth and death. The whole process of Vedic civilization is based on this point. We must know how to conquer the repetition of birth and death. Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa also knew the purpose of life. Therefore, when Jaḍa put the philosophy of life before him, he immediately appreciated it. So Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa, he knows what is knowledge, what is absolute truth. He can understand that purpose is to go back home, back to Godhead. That's why he's appreciating this knowledge. This is the foundation of Vedic society. Learned scholars, brahmanas, saintly persons, and sages who were fully aware of the Vedic purpose advised the royal order how to benefit the general masses. And by their cooperation, the general masses were benefited. Therefore, everything was successful. Maharaj Rahūgaṇa attained this perfection of understanding the value of human life. Therefore, he regretted his insulting words to Jaḍa, and he immediately descended from his palanquin and fell down at the lotus feet of Jaḍa in order to be excused and to hear from him further about the values of life known as Brahma Jigyasa, inquiry into the absolute truth. Brahma Jigyasa. At the present moment, high government officials are ignorant of the values of life. And when saintly persons endeavor to broadcast the Vedic knowledge, the so-called executives do not offer their respectful obeisances, but try to obstruct the spiritual propaganda. Thus, one can say that former kingly government was like heaven and the present government is like hell, because the leaders themselves are not interested in spiritual understanding. And so they are not making it feasible for the citizens also to get the spiritual knowledge. Whereas the Vedic society, the whole system was made in such a way that everyone can understand that we have to go back home, back to Godhead. This human life is important. It's uh, it's the window, from this 8,400,000 species. It's like a window that we can get released from this material world. Did anyone want to add anything? Comment?
Yeah, I wish that, we were educated with the knowledge of Vedic principles. So much is happening now around the world. It's sad that they are not communicating. Rather, they are reacting to all that.
Yeah, so right. That's so true. Yeah.
So just one more thing. So that also means that Rahūgaṇa, the king Rahūgaṇa, was really exalted also, because he fell into the category of Raj Rishi, right? He was also a very good king.
Yes.
Because he
That he
had the
knows the
knowledge.
purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
he
had
had
the
the
knowledge. Yes. He had
yeah,
the
he had
knowledge,
the
or
knowledge.
he had the knowledge, or he had the eagerness to hear the knowledge.
Okay,
It could be
okay.
both ways seen like that. That,
Because he also had the knowledge, so then he immediately corrected him and he got it, he understood it, right? And then also
yeah,
mentioned that his heart not was weakened, like as we read in the Bhagavatam, in the first canto, that the knot is
yeah,
weakened. The
yeah,
same way his heart knot also got weakened.
yeah, Hridaya Granthis. That's right.
Yeah,
By
right?
hearing from, yes, by hearing from Jarbarat, the hard
Hmm.
knot slackened. That is
Yeah.
how the words of the saintly person act on our consciousness. That's why
Hmm.
we are always advised to hear from the devotees to
So
help us
is it with
loosen this
us also?
knot.
So is it the same with us also, that when we sometimes we hear from pure devotees, we also realize things? So that is just because of the same thing that our heart granthi is being,
Yes,
right?
yes,
It is
true.
also the same thing with us, right? Okay.
Yes, yeah. That's why we always advise to hear from the devotees.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
we advise not to hear from the professionals, but to hear from the
Hmm.
devotees.
Hmm. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Kastam nigudascharasi dvijanam
Kastvam nigura charsi vijanam
bibharshi sutram katamo vadhutaha
विभर्षि सूत्रं कथमो अवधूतः
pasyasi kutra ihapi kasmat
कस्य अपि कुत्र इह अपि कस्मात्
shemayanaskedasino tashuklaha.
क्षेमाय न चेदसि न शुक्लो.
King Rahūgaṇa said, "O Brahmana, you appear to be moving in this world very much covered and unknown to others. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahmana and saintly person? I see that you're wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints such as Dattatreya and other highly advanced learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here to do good for us? Please let me know who you are." Maharaj Rahūgaṇa was very anxious to receive further enlightenment in Vedic knowledge because he could understand that Jarbarat belong to a Brahmana family, either by disciplic succession or by birth in a Brahmana dynasty. As stated in the Vedas, tad vigyartham sa gurum eva vikachet. Rahūgaṇa was accepting Jaḍa as a guru, but a guru must prove his position not only by wearing a sacred thread, but by advancing knowledge in spiritual life. It is also significant that Rahūgaṇa asked Jaḍa which family he belonged to. I'm sorry. There are two types of families, one according to dynasty and the other according to disciplic succession. So means one family in which we take our birth, and another family in which we are taking initiation. In either way, one can be enlightened. The word Shukla refers to a person in the mode of goodness. If one wants to receive spiritual knowledge, he must approach a bona fide Brahmana guru, either in the disciplic succession or in a family of learned Brahmanas. Naham Vishanke Suraraja Vajran
Na aham vishanke
Shanke Suraraja Vajran
surajat.
Natrayakshas Shulalnayamasya Danda
Na trayakshashulat na yamasya dandat.
Nagni Nagni Arka Somanila Vitapastra
Na na agni arka somanil vitapat striyat.
Shanke Brishambram Makula Vamana
Shankhe vrisham kula avamanat.
My dear sir, I'm not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of Kove. Yet I'm afraid of offending a Brahmana. I'm very much afraid of this. So he's really very learned, huh? When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Rupa Goswami at the Dashasvamedha Ghat in Prayag, he pointed out very clearly the seriousness of offending a Vaishnava. He compared the Vaishnava Aparadh to Hatimata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it spoils all the fruits and flowers. Similarly, if one offends a Vaishnava, he spoils all his spiritual assets. Offending a Brahmana is very dangerous, and this was known to Maharaj Rahūgaṇa. He therefore frankly admitted his fault. There are many dangerous things: thunderbolts, fire, Yamraja's punishment, the punishment of Lord Shiva's trident, and so forth. But none is considered as serious as offending a Brahmana like Jaḍa. So why is it being said that this is more serious, offending a Vaishnava?
Because you fall down. If you offend a Vaishnava, you fall down very quickly.
Yeah, one's spiritual life is hampered.
Yeah.
They may become like they become a break in our spiritual life. Then it may take some time for us to come back again to the
I remember
spiritual.
Adi Gadadhar Prabhu saying that sometimes when you think that you're not able to do your rounds or what has happened, that you're not able to wake up only and somehow nothing is going right in your bhakti path, then just offer your obeisances at the lotus feet of Krishna and tell that if knowingly, unknowingly I have hurt anybody, any Vaishnava, please forgive me. Because sometimes you don't even know.
Yeah, it's true.
We really
Yeah.
don't even know that how we are hurting or what we might have hurt. Like, there are hurts of so many kinds, like man, karma or vachan. हम तीनों से hurt कर सकते हैं, and we don't even know that if we have hurt somebody in that way, because it's very, very small things.
Yeah, it's true.
So we can just
It's
ask,
true.
if we think, we have to analyze ourselves, our bhakti path, and if we think, then we can always ask for forgiveness. There's nothing wrong in it.
Yeah, so true. Thank you. Of course, a Vaishnav, he never takes the hurt, but Krishna takes it personally. Vaishnav does not take it, like Bharata is not taking it personally. It's like he's just giving him knowledge. So Vaishnav, pure devotee, he does not feel offended, but Krishna takes the offense personally. And then, as you said, we need to ask for forgiveness. So, therefore, Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat before the lotus feet of the Brahmana, Jaḍa, just to be excused. Tadbruhi asango jadavan nigodha.
Tatbruhi niguda
Vijnana viryo vicharasya para.
Vigyan Viryo Vichurasi Aparaha
Vachamsi yoga grathitani sadho.
Vachamsi Yoga Grathitani Sadho
Nana shamante manasaha pibheto.
Nana Shamante Manasa Abhihetum.
My dear sir, it appears that the influence of your great spiritual knowledge is hidden. Factually, you are bereft of all material association and fully absorbed in the thought of the Supreme. Consequently, you are unlimitedly advanced in spiritual knowledge. Please tell me why you are wandering around like a dullard. O great saintly person, you have spoken words approved by the yogic process, but it is not possible for us to understand what you have said. Therefore, kindly explain it. Saintly people like Jaḍa do not speak ordinary words. Whatever they say is approved by great yogis and those advanced in spiritual life. So the pure devotee, they don't speak like us. We'll speak like, sometimes things which don't make sense. But the pure devotees are always speaking absolute truth. That is the difference between ordinary people and saintly people. The Gramya Katha and the Krishna Katha. The listener must also be advanced to understand the words of such exalted, spiritually advanced people as Jaḍa. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna, not to others. Lord Krishna especially selected Arjuna for instruction in spiritual knowledge because Arjuna happened to be a great devotee and confidential friend. So Krishna tells Arjuna, no, I'm giving you this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita because you are my friend, you're my devotee, you're not envious of me. These are the qualities for us to be able to understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. Hearing it submissively. Similarly, great personalities also speak to the advanced, not to Shudras, Vaishyas, women, or unintelligent men. So we may not be advanced, but we can just try to hear the message of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita with submissiveness. And Krishna sees that. He sees that, one is sincere to understand the knowledge. So Krishna reveals the knowledge to us. Sometimes it is very risky to give great philosophical instructions to ordinary people. But Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, for the benefit of the fallen souls of Kali Yuga, has given us a very nice instrument, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The general mass of people, all the Shudras and less, can be purified by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. So Lord Chaitanya, he inaugurated the Sankirtana movement. He gave us the Dharma for Kali Yuga. The Dharma for Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan, chanting Hare Krishna. Then they can understand the exalted philosophical statements of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. When we start chanting, then the knowledge of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita becomes easier for us to understand, because we are serving Krishna. We are serving Lord Chaitanya. We are serving the devotees when we are chanting. So, and Sutta Goswami said, by service, one gets this affinity to hear the message of Krishna. And service begins with the tongue, with chanting. So when we begin to chant, then the knowledge becomes clearer. Our Krishna consciousness movement has therefore adopted the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for the general masses. When people gradually become purified, they are instructed in the lessons of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Materialistic people like Stri, Shudra, and Vijabandhu cannot understand words of spiritual advancement. Yet, one can take to the shelter of a Vaishnava, for he knows the art of enlightening even Shudras in the highly elevated subject matter spoken in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are all born Shudras. Bhagavatam says that in Kali Yuga, everyone is born a Shudra. And we have to raise ourselves to the platform of Brahmana by the process of hearing and chanting under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, hearing from a Vaishnava, hearing from a pure devotee. Aham cha yogeshwaramatma tattva
Aham cha yogishvaramatma tattva
vedam muninam paramam gurum vai
vidam muninam paramam gurum ve
prashtum pravarta kim iharanam tat
prashtum navarta kimiha arunam tat
sakshat dharinkyana kalavatirnam.
sakshat harim dhyan kala avitirnam.
Consider your good self the most exalted master of mystic power. You know the spiritual science perfectly well. You are the most exalted of all learned sages, and you have descended for the benefit of all human society. You have come to give spiritual knowledge, and you are a direct representative of Kapila De, the incarnation of God, and the plenary portion of knowledge. I'm therefore asking you, O spiritual master, what is the most secure shelter in this world? So Rahūgaṇa is accepting Jaḍa as his spiritual master. He's submissively asking for instructions. He's inquiring submissively, sorry, not instructions, but putting questions with submission. Purport, as Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamomutaha. Of all yogis, he who abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 47. So chapter 6, where Krishna is speaking about Dhyan Yoga, he's speaking about the yogi. So he's saying, who is the best yogi? The best yogi is the devotee. He's saying, he who abides in me with great faith, worships me in transcendental loving service. So the devotee, he's the highest yogi. He can understand Krishna most intimately united with me in yoga. Yoga means to link to the Supreme. So the best way to link with the Supreme is Bhakti Yoga. Jaḍa was a perfect yogi. He was formerly the Emperor Bharat Mahārāja, and he was now the most exalted personality among learned sages and the master of all mystic powers. Although Jaḍa was an ordinary living entity, he had inherited all the knowledge given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev. So Jaḍa, He's a soul, he's an individual soul. But he is engaged in devotional service. And that's how he has gotten this knowledge. He could therefore be taken directly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that he's become God, but he is a servant of God, representative of God. As confirmed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his stanzas to the spiritual master Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastre. An exalted personality like Jaḍa is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he fully represents the Lord by giving knowledge to others. So he's representing God. He's giving the knowledge of God to everyone. That's why he's called Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastre, as good as the Lord. Just like an ambassador. In a foreign land, ambassador of India, he has the authority as the president. He can issue the passport, he can issue the visas. He's treated as the Indian representative. No, he's representing the Indian government. So here in the material world, the spiritual master is representing the Supreme Lord.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, here specifically it says that the knowledge was given by Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila Dev.
Lord Kapila.
Yeah, so he got the knowledge from Lord Kapila Dev.
Here, because see, Mahārāja Rahūgaṇa, he's saying, looks like you have come to give spiritual knowledge and you are a direct representative of Kapila Dev, incarnation of God. Anyway, I can understand it in a way that God and all his incarnations, they are giving the same knowledge. So yoga, Lord Kapila speaks about yoga and how to do it in the 3rd canto. So
Right.
probably because of that, he's saying that. Because of the
So I'm wondering, like,
yoga.
Lord Kapila Dev was there at that
Isn't
time.
it because he comes in the disciplic
Received the
succession, like he was born?
I'm sorry.
The Brahmin kul that he was born,
Yeah.
that was under Lord Kapila, no?
Is it? I'm not sure. Now we'll
Because
have to
we
go
read
back
that
to the
before.
history.
We read that,
Yeah,
right? When the
Kardamamuni and Devahuti. Devahuti was the daughter of Manu, right? Swayambhuva Manu.
Yeah, and she got married.
She got married to Kardamamuni.
Yeah, so Kardamba Muni, his father,
So-
you remember?
Yes.
The Brahmin kul, his father was a student of Kardamba Muni or something. He was connected to
So
Kandar.
Swayambhuva Manu,
Kardama.
his son was Priyavrat, and then Priyavrat's story we were hearing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you could look at it that way too. Yeah, you could look at it.
Maybe that way. And
Because they're
when we
coming from
read
Swayambhuva Manu.
Brahmin, Jaḍa father was in lineage, like he was the Brahmin from that dynasty. That's what we read.
From Kapila. Yeah, could be. Yeah, right. That
Oh,
makes sense.
Angira Muni. Angira Muni.
Okay, it was
For
Angita,
the
not
Brahman,
Kandamba Muni.
I think so. But I'm
So
trying to
maybe
understand it as Bharat Maharaj was, but because Jad Bharat was perfect yogi, he was formerly emperor, exalted personality, master of all mystic powers. We heard about yoga from Lord Kapila in 3rd canto.
Yeah.
So it could be taken like that.
Could be,
yeah, more deeper. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or it could be taken as connection with Swayambhuva Manu. It
Hmm.
could be taken that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Therefore, Maharaj Rahūgaṇa concluded that it was appropriate to ask him about Atma Tattva, the spiritual science, Tad Vigyartham Sagurum Eva Vikachet. This Vedic injunction is also confirmed herein. If anyone is at all interested in knowing the spiritual science, Brahma Jigyasa, he must approach a guru like Jaḍa. So approaching a Vaishnava. Savai bhavan lokanirekshanartham
Save Bhavan Lokanirishikhanam
avyaktalingo vicharati api swat.
Avyaktalingo Vicharati Api Swe
Keshwaranam gatim andabuddhihi
Yogishvaranam Gatimandra Buddhi
katham vichakshetagra anubandha.
Katham Vichakshi Tagrah Anubandaha.
Is it not a fact that your good self is the direct representative of Kapila Dev, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? To examine people and see who is actually a human being and who is not, you have presented yourself to be a deaf and dumb person. Are you not moving this way upon the surface of the world? I'm very attached to family life and worldly activities, and I'm blind to spiritual knowledge. Nonetheless, I am now present before you, and am seeking enlightenment from you. How can I advance in spiritual life? So we can see Maharaj Rahūgaṇa also has the qualifications to hear the spiritual knowledge. He's being so honest about himself that, I'm attached, I don't have spiritual knowledge, I'm blind. He's not posing himself as somebody great. So he's showing that he really wants to understand the spiritual knowledge. He wants to advance in spiritual life. Although Maharaj Rahūgaṇa was playing the part of a king, he had been informed by Jaḍa that he was not a king, nor was Jaḍa deaf and dumb. Such designations were simply coverings of the spirit soul. Everyone must come to this knowledge, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.13, Dehinosmin yatha dehe. Everyone is encased within the body. Since the body is never identical with the soul, the bodily activities are simply illusory. So we are actually the soul, but we are doing everything for the body because we are thinking we are the body. But the reality is that we each have a spiritual identity. That's why we are called mad or in illusion, because we are talking something which we are not, talking as if something that we are not. So that's why our activities are called illusory. In association of such a sadhu as Jaḍa, Maharaj Rahūgaṇa came to the awareness that his activities as a royal authority was simply illusory phenomena. He therefore agreed to receive knowledge from Jaḍa, and that was the beginning of his perfection. So now he's going to become a Raj Rishi. Because he was a king, now he's going to get the spiritual knowledge. So, tad vigyartham sa gurum eva vikachet, a person like Maharaj Rahūgaṇa, who was very inquisitive to know the value of life and the spiritual science, must approach a personality like Jaḍa. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam. Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, Text 21. One must approach a guru like Jaḍa, a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to inquire about the goal of human life. So we are repeatedly being said that we must approach a Vaishnava, must hear the spiritual science. And we can understand by Maharaj Rahūgaṇa's attitude that he's very eager to hear this knowledge, inquisitive. Prabhupada is saying he's very inquisitive to know the value of human life. So both are qualified. Maharaj Rahūgaṇa is qualified as a listener, and Jaḍa is qualified as a speaker. Yeah. Just as Sukadev Goswami was qualified to speak, and Parikshit Maharaj was qualified to hear. That's what we are seeing, like Maitri and Vidur. right? Vidur was very eager. He kept on asking so many questions. And then Maitreya Muni was qualified to speak. He was directly instructed by Krishna. So, did anyone want to add anything else? Any comment? Okay. Thank you
Just
so
wanted
much
to
for
say,
listening. Yes, please.
when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it gives us a feeling that Srimad Bhagavad Gita is there in it. It's part. It's not that there are so many things, so many shlokas that are repetitively being, you know, there for our understanding. So this is Amal Puran, yes, because it gives you the whole sum total of everything, what is in actuality to be done, how to behave, how to live your life, and it adds more, definitely for more to bhakti. But after understanding it, also it keeps putting the Bhagavad Gita everywhere, is spread everywhere.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's what we can see, that the scriptures all complement each other. They don't contradict. They complement. The bhakti scriptures, they're complementing each other. Thank you so much. La Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.